The emergency alarm pierced through the 47th floor of TechVision Industries at exactly 3:17 in the morning, and within minutes, the entire executive team would realize that their company's future hung by a thread so fragile that a single wrong move could unravel everything they had built over 2 decades. Marcus Chen, the night janitor with calloused hands and tired eyes, was emptying trash bins in the server room when the chaos erupted, unaware that the next 60 seconds would rewrite not just his destiny, but the fate of 3,000 employees whose families depended on paychecks that might never come. Marcus had been working the graveyard shift for 3 years, ever since his wife Sarah passed away from cancer, leaving him alone to raise their 7-year-old daughter Emma. The night shift paid slightly more, and more importantly, it meant he could walk Emma to school each morning, help her with homework each evening, and tuck her into bed with stories about her mother before heading to work. His degree in computer engineering from 15 years ago gathered dust in a drawer at home, buried beneath unpaid medical bills and Emma's artwork. Pride was a luxury he couldn't afford when his daughter needed new shoes and her asthma medication cost more each month than most people spent on groceries. That night, as red emergency lights bathed the pristine corridors in an apocalyptic glow, Marcus watched security guards and the handful of overnight IT staff running toward the central server room with expressions of pure terror. He heard fragments of panicked conversations about a ransomware attack, about encrypted files, about hackers demanding $100 million, about systems crashing across every department simultaneously. The company's CEO, James Whitmore, had been called from his bed and was racing to the office, but everyone knew that once those files were gone, they were gone forever. Client data, proprietary algorithms, financial records, and the source code for the revolutionary software they were set to launch in 48 hours, all of it locked behind digital walls that even their best cybersecurity experts couldn't breach in time. If you believe in second chances, in the power of kindness, and in stories that remind us that every person matters regardless of their job title, please hit that like button, leave a comment below, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to the world. Marcus stood frozen in the doorway, mop in hand, watching the IT director slam his fist against a desk in frustration. And then he saw it, a pattern in the code flickering across the monitors, a signature he recognized from his days working security protocols in his previous life, before medical debt and grief had reshaped his world. His hands trembled as muscle memory awakened something he thought he'd buried forever. He knew this attack architecture. He had studied it in graduate school, had written papers about its vulnerabilities, had even corresponded with the researcher who first identified its fatal flaw. The solution flashed through his mind like lightning, a specific sequence of commands that could exploit the attacker's own code against itself. But it required access to the system within the next 90 seconds before the final encryption layer locked permanently. Marcus made a decision that terrified him. He stepped forward, his janitor's uniform marking him as invisible to everyone consumed by panic, and he spoke words that felt like they came from a stranger's mouth. He told them he could stop it. He told them he knew exactly what to do. The IT director barely glanced at him, dismissing him with a wave, but James Whitmore had just burst through the doors, his hair disheveled and his eyes wild with desperation, and something about the quiet certainty in Marcus's voice made the CEO stop and really look at this man in the gray uniform holding a mop. 60 seconds later, Marcus's fingers flew across the keyboard with a precision that made the surrounding engineers gasp, executing a counter-algorithm so elegant and so perfectly timed that the ransomware didn't just stop. It reversed, leaving the hacker's own system exposed and vulnerable. The encrypted files unlocked one by one, cascading across the screens like dominoes falling backward in time. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sound of James Whitmore's voice asking a simple question that changed everything. "Who are you?" The story that unfolded over the next hour left everyone speechless. Marcus explained his background, his choices, his sacrifices, and why he'd never mentioned his expertise. He hadn't wanted pity or special treatment. He had wanted to be present for his daughter during the hardest years of her young life, and the night shift janitorial position had given him that gift. James Whitmore stood there, this powerful CEO in his expensive suit, with tears streaming down his face as he listened to a man who had saved his company ask for nothing in return, except the chance to finish his shift so he wouldn't lose the hours he needed to pay for Emma's upcoming school field trip. What happened next became the stuff of legend throughout the business community. James didn't just offer Marcus his old career back. He created a new position entirely, Director of Cybersecurity Innovation, with hours that would never conflict with being the father Emma needed. He established a company-wide scholarship fund for employees' children in Sarah's name. He implemented a program to identify and nurture talent regardless of job title, recognizing that brilliance often hides in unexpected places, waiting for someone to simply look and see. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that we should never judge a person's worth by their job title, please leave a comment telling us about a time someone surprised you with their hidden talents or kindness. Your stories inspire us all. On the day of the company's triumphant software launch, Marcus stood on stage beside James, no longer invisible, no longer just the night janitor, but always and forever the single dad who had chosen love over ambition, and somehow found that the universe had been watching all along. Emma sat in the front row, wearing her mother's locket, watching her father receive a standing ovation from 3,000 people whose lives he had saved without them ever knowing his name. And in that moment, Marcus finally understood what Sarah had tried to tell him in those final days, that true success isn't measured in titles or salaries, but in the quiet dignity of showing up, in the fierce devotion of loving completely, and in the courage to step forward when every instinct screams to stay invisible. Sometimes the most extraordinary heroes are the ones we walk past every single day, never seeing the magnitude of their strength until the moment arrives for them to shine.